sufficiently to South Africa the visa crisis, but this is not why we're here. Competence may mean different things to the ANC, but here is a legal question, and legally both of them have been found against. Therefore, I have written a letter to President Ramaphosa requesting him to, with urgency, in the next, and I've given him until the 15th of October, to say he must do the right thing and fire both ministers. We've already gone to court to argue the case to say that any appointment should be rational, and you can't have within your cabinet people who perjure themselves, and therefore it becomes crucial that he acts within the law. President Ramaphosa was this week speaking vocally about his desire to act. This is an opportune time for him to demonstrate whether he will choose the unity of the ANC, which is, to quote Minister Dlamini, the unity of smallanyana skeletons, or to act decisively and dismiss both out of cabinet. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, within that act, I have already written to him, given him until the 5th of October. Should he fail to do so, we will take further action, as we did in the case against Pravin Gordhan, and we will then take further steps to say, this is about protecting the resources of the people of this country and ensuring that Minister Dlamini is held accountable, and so is Minister Gigaba. I'm going to ask my colleague Bridget to talk us through even the judgment yesterday that was taken on Minister Bathabile Dlamini.
Yes, Mmusi. The Constitutional Court judgment yesterday confirmed that Bathabile Dlamini has failed in her job, having been directly responsible for the social grants crisis, which the DA believes she purposefully manufactured to ensure that CPS will continue to distribute grants, no doubt for her own personal gain. Dlamini was determined to deliberately derail the entire process of SASSA procuring an alternative service provider, all in a bid to ensure that CPS contract could be extended over and over again. Then retired Judge Bernard Mwebe offered a scathing assessment in the commission that he was chairing of Dlamini's testimony during the inquiry into her role in the 2017 social grants debacle. Yesterday's unanimous judgment by the Constitutional Court found that, at best for her conduct, and I'm quoting, her conduct was reckless and grossly negligent, and that in paragraph 15, the minister misled the court to protect herself from the consequences of her behavior. In the view of the court, in paragraph 15, she used her position as minister of the department to place herself between constitutionally enshrined rights and those that are entitled to those rights. Minister Dlamini, as a result, has time and again proven that she is incapable of governing a department and continuously failed of delivering her mandate of protecting the most vulnerable in our society. It is therefore obvious that Dlamini is not fit for office, and her contempt for the highest court in our country is matched only by her contempt for the most vulnerable people in our country. She is an embarrassment to the government and the country and besmirches the office of the minister. The president should dismiss her immediately. Well, whether or not he does, the DA will lay criminal charges against Dlamini for committing perjury by lying under oath to the Constitutional Court. We will also lay a complaint against Minister Dlamini in terms of Section 4 of the Executive Ethics Act. Section 2 of the Executive Ethics Act forbids cabinet members, deputy ministers and MECs from exposing themselves to any situation involving the risk of a conflict between their official responsibilities and their private interests. Number 4, Section 4 says also for using their position or any information entrusted to them to enrich themselves or improperly benefit any other person. And number 5, acting in a way that may compromise the credibility or integrity of their office or of the government. And as stipulated by the Act, the complaint will be laid with the Public Protector, Advocate Mmusi Maimane. Thank you.
When it comes to the case of Minister Mmusi Gigaba, it's very clear that he was implicated in bypassing the South African law to ensure that the Guptas were given citizenship when they were not entitled to it. And I think I always maintain that, let alone, he should also appear before the State Capture Commission for such actions. But in February this year, in the matter of the Flyer Blade Aviation versus the Minister of Home Affairs, the judge of the North Gauteng High Court found that Gigaba, when he was Minister of Finance, deliberately told untruths under oath, and that he committed a breach of the Constitution so serious that I would characterize it as a violation, to quote the judgment. Now, I think South Africans have every right to ask this simple question. Should we have citizens such as this one representing them in public office, let alone being tasked with the duty of maintaining the resources of our people? We've already laid a formal complaint with the public protector requesting that she investigate Minister Gigaba's conduct in the matter in the light of this serious finding against him in the High Court. We will continue our engagements with the public protector to ensure that the investigation into Minister Gigaba is now expedited so that he can be held accountable. And this goes directly to what the fitness to hold office of Mmusi Maimane. This is an urgent and a serious violation. And it does not require the collating of extensive evidence. It's very direct. There was a court finding against Gigaba. She has before her the Executive Ethics Code, and therefore ultimately should take the appropriate action. But Mkhwebana seems to delay this matter, and clearly is not acting to uphold her own oath of office. It's now acting to protect Gigaba in this regard. So what is clear is that if we are going to get South Africa to head in the right direction, to ensure our people can prosper, we have to have a leadership that we can trust and a leadership that is competent to lead. And President Ramaphosa has the duty to ensure that he corrects this. It cannot be a question of corruption being allowed to run riot, and when people have been found against, that they must be protected. If we're going to turn this thing around, if President Ramaphosa is going to turn this thing around, he would adhere to at least the actions we are putting to him. Fire Gigaba and Bathabile Dlamini and demonstrate to the people of South Africa that you are not going to tolerate corruption. We will open criminal cases against Bathabile Dlamini for perjury, which will take forward. And Mmusi Maimane must expedite the report that is on Mmusi Gigaba. It's a fine choice. The unity of the ANC is the detriment of South Africa. And if we want the prosperity of South Africa, then we cannot sacrifice that at the altar of the unity of the ANC. It's time for decisive action. And we believe now that both of them have lied, they must be dismissed from cabinet. And if they want to take us to court, they are welcome to do so. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take questions. The letter to the President is attached in your media statement. I'm sure you will have it with you. Harry, are there any questions covered? Linda, Shorter, Mr. Law? Yebo.
Lindsay Denkin, the Eyewitness News. Why the need to lay perjury charges when the court has already directed the NPA to consider charges against him?
Is to consider it. Remember, in the NPA, there have been many other cases that have come before them. The most exemplary is one of Jacob Zuma, etc., where there are delays in prosecution. We think we must get to a point now. We'd already laid charges against that. Those must be expedited and responded. So we're responding to the ConCourt decision in this regard. I think that covers the matter, and I want to thank you so much for coming through. This must be the shortest Q&A question I've had. There must be a party straight after this.
This is a report from Bloomberg. We laid those charges against Dlamini.
My colleague here will be able to to do that.
Has there been any feedback on progress of those charges?
No, what I'm saying is, sorry, let me clarify the statement. Subsequent to the judgment, we will be laying new charges against her for perjury, to the specific charge for Bathabile.
So that's regardless of whether the
MPA.
Sure.
if he's dismissed.
She should be charged. The Constitutional Court is making that. It was the same, in fact, if you can recall, there was a judgment in the North Gauteng High Court that said that Jacob Zuma was a delinquent litigant and should also, in the light of misrepresenting facts in the court, must face similar action. And consistent with that judgment, we also went ahead and opened charges of perjury. See, because those were in similar grounds. And in this regard, Bathabile Dlamini faces a similar space. These are people who are committed to misleading courts, misleading Parliament, and the institutions of government, whether it's public protector, the NPA, aren't always quick to act on such issues. So what we're saying is let's open this criminal case of perjury against her and then investigate it going forward.
The case, the possible case in the court to seek Ramaphosa to compel him to remove these perjurers.
Call them liars, or maybe I'll call them that.
Is that not his prerogative? I mean, is there any precedent where he must remove a minister?
Well, if you recall the case against Pravin Gordhan, when he was removed by Jacob Zuma in the case from Minister of Finance, we took the matter to the Western Cape High Court. And in that judgment, the judge says the appointment and the removal of ministers must pass the test of rationality. Therefore, you can't, in this instance, when you keep people in cabinet who clearly are liars, and it's not me saying it, it's the courts of the land saying it, how can that be a rational decision to keep them within office? So the prerogative question can be a political judgment. I don't dispute that. The president has ample power to do so. But if someone committed a crime, it would be irrational for them to, for example, be the Minister of Justice. So therefore, in this instance, you've got two people. Imagine the Minister of Home Affairs being found that he's committed perjury. I mean, it would not even begin to pass the test of rationality. It's completely irrational. And it's the same as the Minister of Social Development in this instance, or the ex-Minister of Social Development. Now she's been given a different role in looking after women. And therefore, it becomes an irrationality test that this is a person who should be fit to administer the resources of our people. And I think that's what we would challenge on the basis not only of that court judgment, but fundamentally on the judgments that have been put against them together. And the Constitution, while gives the right for prerogative, but also narrows it down to the test of rationality.
When Cyril Ramaphosa took over as president and appointed his cabinet, he made it very clear at the time that this was it until the elections. Was this action, apart from the obvious criminal case on the perjury charges, what politically are you hoping to achieve to come out with this case? Do you think it'll weaken his cabinet, it'll increase affections within the ANC, or what do you expect?
There are a couple of responses to the question. The first is that, as I've put, Ramaphosa must, in his capacity as President of the Republic, his oath of office compels him to put the interests of the Republic first ahead of those of his party, or any other interest for that matter. How would it be in the interest of South Africa that we must have ministers who are found against? The second point I want to make is this, is that you don't build your reputation on what you are going to do. You build your reputation on what you've done. This is a reputational question. Zuma promised permanently to investigate corruption. Ramaphosa is now going all over the world saying he's going to deal with corruption. Is he going to deal with liars? That's the question. The third dynamic is this, is that if you say to me that you put your actions where your words are, as it were, is Ramaphosa, when he's called upon to act against his party, going to do that? Because invariably, any president will have cabinet ministers that come from his party. Is he going to put party unity first, or in fact put South Africa first? That's the only question on the table. And whether it weakens him, I would urge that this is the decision he has to make should not be whether or not he'll be stronger in the ANC or not. If he wants to be strong in the ANC, believe you me, it will weaken South Africa. Those are the facts. Because he'll keep making decisions that bloat the cabinet, that adds liars into the cabinet. He'll continue to do that. I am acting as leader of the opposition in a parliamentary role, saying, you have two liars. It's not me saying it. The courts have said, remove them. The constitution and the rule of law in this country compels you to do so. Act as the first citizens of South Africa, not as president of the ANC. I'm sure as president of the ANC, he'll do whatever the ANC tells him to do. Right. And goes.
Can I just make an announcement, please? Our dear colleague Lucanio, who I'm glad I thought he wasn't going to come to our press conference, that would have been a bad way to end, is leaving the PGA today. So I just wanted to say on behalf of the DA's media department, Lucanio, thank you for many years of professionalism and integrity. You'd be a hell of a lot better in the cabinet than Minister Dlamini. But it's been a pleasure to work with Lucanio for all of these years.
Absolutely.
And he really has been an example of what a brilliant journalist is. So thank you and all the best to you.
Absolutely, Lucanio.
That is also really nice.
Is Linda leaving?
Seriously?
I will.
Well, sort of.
Some furniture remains, but in a different form. I'll be under contract.
All right. But let me...
I formally retire from today.
I mean, really? Let me say to both of you. I'll say to both of you, as I've always maintained, that our fight is always for independent, for a free media. And I've always appreciated, just from having sat on this side, people who have been frank in your engagements but fair in your reflections. And so I wish you both strength and success. And